Right, let's begin by telling you that the federal government has resolved to establish a new agency that will be saddled with the responsibility of managing more effectively the proceeds of crime recovered from those found to have abused trust. Now, this followed the approval by the Federal Executive Council, a bill seeking to provide a legal and institutional framework for the agency aimed at taking the anti-corruption war to the next level of transparency and accountability. We'll bring you the details of that report in our subsequent bulletin. But heralding Nigeria's 60th anniversary, the theme and logo has been unveiled. President Muhammadu Buhari performed the ceremony to formally kickstart a series of activities commemorating the nation's attainment of the Diamond Age. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports that the event preceded the weekly meeting of the Federal Executive Council.
It is to the glory of God and in celebration of the attainment of the Diamond Age of 60 by our great nation that I hereby unveil the prepared anniversary logo for this momentous occasion in our national history.
With a deep feeling of national pride, President Muhammadu Buhari also announced that together shall be the theme of Nigeria's 60th anniversary celebration.
Our founding fathers, in spite of the differences in faith, tribe, and tongue, came together to fight for Nigeria's independence. This shall be a befitting tribute to the struggles of our heroes past.
The theme, the president emphasized, will keep the nation united and help the citizenry forge ahead, while the logo, a product of choice from the Nigerian people, forms the critical pillars which the modest commemorative activities will rest on.
I am informed that the selected option depicts our togetherness, a country of over 200 million people whose natural talent, grit, and passion glitter like the precious diamond we are. This, to me, is a special appreciation to our most precious asset, our people. Everywhere you go, Nigerians are sparkling like diamonds in the pack.
The neatly encrusted diamond on the nation's map, President Buhari said, symbolizes Nigeria's age of treasure, while the pear and dark green colors remind Nigerians of their warmth, welcoming spirit, and love, as well as their abundant human and natural resources.
All these properties made us unarguably the most prosperous black nation in the world and Africa's largest economy. As we celebrate this anniversary, this government will work towards greater inclusiveness and look forward to the participation of all Nigerians.
For the chairman, Interministerial Committee on the Anniversary Celebration and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, the historic event is just the beginning of the various commemorative activities expected to last 11 months.
The preference for a year-long celebration is to create opportunities for ownership and ensure that the edifying elements of our nation are made to propel our various individual and collective action. Therefore, post-October 1st activities to engage the private sector and the ordinary Nigerian will be the focus of the interim ministerial committee.
Celebrating 60 years of Nigeria's independence without doubt calls for pomp and pageantry. But the federal government says with the COVID-19 pandemic forcing the global community to think and act differently has also foisted on the nation the imperative of a low-key celebration. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo says the federal government will ensure that affected Nigerians in Ghana get justice. Well, the president gave the assurance on Tuesday during a meeting with representatives of the Nigerian community in Ghana. A statement by Laolu Akonde, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity in the Office of the Vice President, stated that the meeting focused on the challenges facing Nigerians living in the West African nation, including the locking of hundreds of Nigerian-owned shops. Vice President Oshibajo strongly affirmed the commitment of the federal government to deal with the issues, stressing that there have been direct communications between President Muhammadu Buhari and President Akufo-Addo of Ghana. The Vice President, however, urged all affected traders through their associations and leaders to submit a more detailed letter containing the number of affected shops and other relevant information that would enable the Nigerian government follow up effectively. The Vice President also appealed to Nigerians living in Ghana to remain law-abiding and embrace peaceful coexistence, adding that both governments would resolve the differences. Well, the Vice President has since returned to Abuja. Let's look at other issues. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has taken a pre-commissioning tour of the Waltersmith Flow Station and Modular refinery in Ohaji, Egbema local government area of Imo State. Anthony Forsen will bring us the details.
The pre-commissioning visit by the Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, accompanied by the Minister of State for Education, is to have an idea of what the nation will benefit from the refinery when it comes on stream. The refinery, which is in its first phase of completion, will have the capacity to refine 5,000 barrels of crude per day. Chairman of Waltersmith and the Chief Executive Officer of the refinery briefed the minister and his entourage, among them the governor of Imo State, the success story of the Modular refinery. The refinery is expected to come on stream mid-October.
Today, that from just exporting crude, Waltersmith is adding value to crude, is producing many other, byproducts which will be consumed by Nigerians. But don't forget the job creation and the fact that they are going to transform the entire landscape of this local government.
And besides, you know that there were so many licenses issued out for modular refineries. I have not heard of any of those licenses calling for pre-commissioning visit or being commissioned. So it means that it is only Waltersmith, in the real sense of it, that has actually utilized that license. So it's something our government must appreciate, and then Nigerians indeed should also appreciate.
Waltersmith Refining and Petrochemical Company had the full support and guide by the National Content Development and Monitoring Board, whose Executive Secretary described the Waltersmith Refining and Petrochemical Company as a true Nigerian model, putting in perspective the capacity of Nigeria's local content in modern-day technological exploits for sustainable growth and development. In Owerri, the Imo State capital, Anthony Forsen, NTA News.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, has reaffirmed her continued support to improving the living standards of Nigerians, especially women, youths and children. The First Lady stated this in a message during the distribution of relief materials to victims of flood in Kwekwa village of Rinjim, local government area of Jigawa State. State House correspondent Aliyu Kabir will tell us more.
The residents of Kwekwayu village, located in Rinjim local government area of Jigawa State, have suffered the devastation of flood as a result of the persistent heavy downpour in the area. Their houses, farmlands and livestock were destroyed, leaving no fewer than 500 people homeless. The victims, majority women and children, are currently taking refuge at the LEA primary school in the community as temporary accommodation. As part of her humanitarian activities, the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, through her Future Assured program, visited the area as part of measures to cushion the effect of their hardship.
We are here today to assist people in an area where there was a flood in Jigawa State. We have seen that about 500 people were affected. Their homes were washed away. Their farm produce were all, covered by water, and they are really in desperate need of assistance. So that's why we are here on behalf of Her Excellency to present palliatives, which consist of rice, oil, soap, clothes, and so many other things.
These deep down villages are the ones needing help from other people like rich people and other first ladies of the state. But I'm sure they are trying their own best But for the First Lady of Nigeria, it's entirely different.
While calling on well-meaning Nigerians to continue maintaining high spirit of supporting those in need, the First Lady reaffirmed her commitment to remain a pillar of support to Nigerian women and children, particularly those at the grassroots. The gesture was extended to Kafin Babushe village in the same local government area of the state, who also suffered similar disaster. The beneficiaries expressed their happiness with the gesture. In Lingim local government area of Jigawa State, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
And now to global update on COVID-19. European Commission President seeks better coordination on approach to the coronavirus pandemic, just as Russia's sovereign wealth fund supplies 100 million doses of coronavirus vaccine to India drug company. Uche Ugochukwu is already standing by.
President of European Commission Ursula von der Leyen said the bloc must rise above its fragmented approach on dealing with the coronavirus pandemic by centralizing more decision-making on health issues. In this vein, she told European Commission legislators that Italy will host a global health summit next year during its G20 presidency. The European Commission president insisted more funds must be invested in research and development and more powers given to EU-wide institutions so as to restore the fragile state the pandemic has left EU in. Scientists from a Ugandan university and the National Army, after collecting 162 plasma from donors, have launched a study to find out whether plasma from recovered coronavirus patients has effect on active patients. Meanwhile, the caseload of the coronavirus in Africa is now 1,374,043. 1,122,117 patients have recovered, as shown on the WHO COVID-19 dashboard. Nigeria recorded 90 new cases from 7 states and the FCT on Tuesday, the lowest in months. This puts the country's tally at 56,478 with 1,088 fatalities. In India, the number of confirmed coronavirus infections has surpassed 5 million, with daily cases crossing 90,000 for 5 days. Officials say more than 80,000 people have died. The world, as of 6 p.m. Nigerian time, recorded 29,828,056 confirmed cases of coronavirus. From this figure, 941,292 patients died, the Worldometer coronavirus dashboard indicates. In another development, Russia's sovereign wealth fund has agreed to supply 100 million doses of its coronavirus vaccine to an Indian drug company, as Moscow speeds up plans to distribute its shots abroad. That's it from here. I am Uche Ugochukwu.
Thanks, Uche. Let's go on a break. Shortly, we're back.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS or Android, Intelsat 901 degree east. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
Thanks for staying with us. The radiance of the sun brings light, warmth and energy to fire the embers of man's endeavors. Life on Earth would be impossible without the sun, yet excessive exposure to it would be harmful to life on Earth. September 16 every year is set aside to celebrate the preservation of the ozone layer, which serves as a shield from the sun. Onenge Fives has that report.
In recognition of the important role the ozone layer plays in human survival and life on Earth, the global community in 1985 adopted the Vienna Convention for the protection of the ozone layer. The convention resolved to cut out 99% of ozone-depleting substances in response to human activities which were creating a hole in the shield provided by the ozone layer to protect Earth from harmful ultraviolet rays from the sun. Ozone-depleting substances include gases used in cooling such as refrigerators and air conditioners. When these substances get into the atmosphere, they break the ozone layer gaseous shield and allow more ultraviolet rays than is needed from the sun to get to the Earth, exposing humans to medical conditions like cataracts and skin cancers. The excessive rays also cause damage to plants and the ecosystems.
If government will provide available public transportation, people will reduce use of their cars. Because if you reduce the use of your cars on the road, you are minimizing the carbon emission. Furthermore, for example, again, the use of air conditioning. For example, any substance that escapes from the cylinder of the gas is chlorofluorocarbon.
International Day for the Preservation of the Ozone Layer this year 2020 commemorates 35 years of the Vienna Convention and successes recorded in the reduction of greenhouse gases and other emissions considered harmful to the environment.
One thing that comes to mind is the petroleum industry bill. Up till now, we're still flaring gas. Today, if you go to the Niger Delta region, particularly if you go to River State, where they're flaring gas, we're dealing with soot. Even before COVID-19, people in River, their environment, their air has been polluted.
The slogan for the day is Ozone for Life. It serves as a reminder for humanity to continue to protect the ozone layer and natural ecosystems for the benefit of future generations. Olmengiye Fine Face, NTA News.
All right, let's expand the discussion. And joining us in the studio is an international communication and development specialist, Mr. Paddy Ezeala. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Ezeala.
Thank you very much.
All right, now we know that the challenges posed by the depletion of the ozone layer may have prompted the United Nations to set aside September 16 every year to look at efforts made in this regard. What would you say, how far so far?
Well, that's a tricky question. So far, so good, I must say, in the sense that the ozone layer is healing, according to scientists. From the time it was discovered in the 70s, that the massive holes we are coming up on in the ozone layer, which was exposing humans to ultraviolet rays from the sun, and even plants and ecosystems too, were in danger. The whole world responded massively in 1985 for the Vienna Convention, and a few years afterwards drafted the Montreal Protocol, which aimed at cutting down the emission of ozone-depleting substances. I must say that it's been, to a great extent, successful, because scientists are telling us that in the next 50 years, the situation will be reversed to at least to the pre-1985 situation, which is encouraging. But that doesn't really mean that climate change it has ceased. Okay. No, it's a different thing entirely.
All right, Mr. Ezeala, we know that Nigeria has also had our own fair share when we're talking climate change. We've seen it evident in hot temperatures, rain patterns and floods. How would you assess efforts made by authorities involved to reverse or, let's say, accommodate the trend?
Yeah, you know that at the time the Vienna Convention took place in 1985, Nigeria did not even have an agency that was dedicated to the environment, let alone having a Ministry of Environment. Since then till today, government efforts have been very, very encouraging. But what should happen right now is that the government should look into these agencies, NESRIA, National Park Service, various forest reserves that we have, and things like that. It is high time we developed a comprehensive environmental policy for the country. The Vision 2050 that is being worked on right now must have a comprehensive environmental segment that will address the challenges that are coming in the next few years.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Paddy Ezeala. Thank you for your contribution.
Thank you very much.
All right, we must make efforts to preserve the ozone layer. And let's look at other pressing issues. President of United Nations 75th General Assembly, Volkan Bozkır, says he will focus on making multilateral system more effective. Well, he said this after taking the oath of office at the closing of the 74th session of General Assembly, making the end of the tenure of Nigeria's Professor Mohammed Tijani Bande, who was the 74th president. Let's get the details from Adebola Brooks-Lynn Sunday.
Plenary meeting of the General Assembly.
After calling the meeting to order, Professor Mohammed Tijani Bande presented the new president to the Assembly
to take an oath of office.
Presiding over the affairs of the most representative body of the United Nations amid a surging pandemic, Bozkır promised to drive global cooperation and deliver solutions to the people in line with the theme of the 75th anniversary of the United Nations and the urgent need to combat COVID-19.
At this time of crisis, it is our responsibility to strengthen people's faith in multilateral cooperation and international institutions with the UN at the center.
The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who reflected on the organization's biggest accomplishments of bringing together the countries of the world, both simulation of the Agenda 2030 with the program of eradication of poverty and the Paris Agreement on climate change, pledged his full support.
The world looks to the United Nations as the indispensable forum for international cooperation on global challenges. Let us continue our work together to beat the pandemic and build a better future.
Thank you for your support.
Professor Bande thanked all members of his team for the successes recorded in the past 12 months of his tenure as president.
It's also important to continue to make the case for other underrepresented groups, including women and people with disability. It is in doing so that we'll be certain of peace, justice, and development. I declare closed the 74th session of the General Assembly. The meeting is adjourned.
As Professor Bande bows out, the 75th session began with representatives observing a moment of silence against unprecedented backdrop of COVID-19 pandemic.
Big round of applause to President Mohammed Bande. First plenary meeting.
The United Nations is an international organization founded in 1945 after the Second World War by 51 countries committed to maintaining international peace and security, developing friendly relations among nations, and promoting social progress, better living standards, and human rights. The organization has grown over time. It has 193 sovereign states. Adebola Brooks-Lynn Sunday, NTA News.
All right, let's talk sports. 87-year-old former IAAF president Senegalese Lamine Diack jailed for corruption. Let's get the details with Badi Adelaire.
The federal government has continued to receive commendation over the regrassing of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. Alex Okonkwo, an England-based media consultant and sports analyst, believes it is high time the Super Eagles returned to Abuja for their home matches.
The minister, he is saying, let's give the infrastructure so that our national teams can come and play. So he started by already showing it by making the stadium, playable, a good place to receive the Super Eagles. So it's going to be great. It's going to be something of pride.
Rehabilitation work on the Mimbo pitch is progressing, with construction workers now at the soil maintenance stage. Elsewhere, Bundesliga clubs have been reportedly given the green light for fans to return to the stadia for the start of the 2020-2021 season, which will kick off on Friday. A trial will see the stadia filled with up to 20% of its capacity, with strict hygiene requirements and a ban on alcohol in the stands. In tennis, 17-time Grand Slam winner Novak Djokovic is back on court after his US Open disqualification as he beat Italian wildcard Salvatore Caruso 6-3, 6-2 to move to the round of 16 of the Italian Open. The world number one, who was disqualified in the fourth round at Flushing Meadows for hitting a line judge with a ball, will next face Gael Monfils. In the meantime, former World Athletics president Lamin Diak has been found guilty of corruption and sentenced to 2 years in prison. The 87-year-old, who was the head of track and field from 1999 to 2015, faced 5 charges related to an alleged cover-up of drugs tests for Russian athletes in return for bribes. The court also sentenced Diak to another 2 years of suspended jail time and fined him €500,000. With sports update, Bade Adeleye, NTA News.
Right, and just before we go, let's see how Thursday's weather will fare.